Good morning, gentlemen. Welcome to February 17th, 2022, Bob's BTC Breakdown. Let's get right down to business here. Um, actually, and just kind of getting everything fired off the way we normally would. Let's go ahead and touch on this real quick. So we've been talking about this for a couple days now, and really in terms of the larger overall pattern, we've been talking about it for a solid week, maybe 10 days now. That I was looking for this, 8 wave bearish cycle, kind of, Elliott wave pattern to play out. Well, so far so good, especially after we got this move here, which I've been talking about. This is really what I've been talking about for a few days now. Was my expectation, once we kind of came up here and we started getting stopped out every day, failing to put in higher highs, that we had a move coming to the downside. Now, this is going to be the interesting part, and you can even see that in terms of live action. I mean, this daily candle right now is at the lowest. Like, there's no wick whatsoever on it, meaning that even as of right this moment, as I'm recording, this thing is falling. Ideally, and there we go. There's a tiny wick. Now, this is ideally where we're going to find support, right? Is somewhere here, 50, 21 moving average. But obviously, we've got a pretty good chunk, distance there still to go before we would reach that point. So I'd like to think that we're not just going to go down there in one fell swoop. But again, we'll kind of see what the market decides to give us. But again, daily chart, so you're not getting a ton of signals to work with here, right? The market's not telling us a whole lot in one day's candle. So let's go ahead and zoom in on the action here, and we'll see if we can't maybe find a spot where we at least get a bounce. I'd like to at least see, if say Bitcoin is, Bitcoin does come all the way down to here, I'd like to at least see it retrace up to here before the day is out, and maybe see it retrace up to here would be nice. At this point, though, you can, if you scan across the way here, you can see that number is right around 42,500 or so, 42.6. When we flip over to my other chart, you'll see that's the one of the Fibonacci supports that we've been dealing with here, and we're in danger of losing that. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of the shorter time frames to kind of get a sense for what our day might look like here. All right, so zooming in on the shorter time frames here, we got a 4-hour chart, and we'll take a look at some different time frames perhaps. But just kind of wanted to start here, and I wanted to show you guys a clean chart, so that way it was, not obstructed by a bunch of lines, which we'll add those back in a second here. But what I wanted to point out was, essentially here, right here and right here, we essentially double topped, which is what more or less, necessitated this move down to test this support. Now I don't, in terms of looking at the measured move, I don't think that quite hit what a measured move would have been. But then also, if we take a look here, this is a top, double top potentially. If Bitcoin loses this support here and then falls below here, we can essentially assume it's going to fall, as far as the distance between here and here, which, what's that? About 3,000 more dollars. So take 3,000 bucks off the bottom, puts us right in about here, which is, again, and this shouldn't come as a major surprise after hearing me talk about it for several days at this point. But that's basically the number I've been talking about potentially getting back to. I think that this right here will hopefully end up being our low in terms of filling out this shoulder and this shoulder. I'd like to think that this one will hold up as the low, and that maybe we come down just below the 200 moving average on the 4-hour, but it's never a given. We start to lose this level and things get pretty ugly. And even the move from this level down to that level would be pretty ugly. So I'd like to think that at least what we maybe will end up with here today, with any luck, is really just kind of Bitcoin finding stability again, right? We got a 4-hour chart here. We're some caught up somewhere between the 80 and the 100 moving averages. As long as it finds support in here, we can anticipate that, potentially today, maybe tomorrow, this thing bounces back up and retests overhead resistance. Tough to say exactly time frame wise when these things will occur, but that would be my expectation. So ideally, we're going to hold this level here and actually move up back into this range, or maybe even up as far as this. Um, and then again, let's just take a quick peek at one other detail here. All right, so really just the last things kind of wanted to take a look at here. Just kind of bringing the 4 hour chart back up, going ahead and bringing our trend lines and everything back in here. And really, I took a little bit of time yesterday to mess with the RSI, and I kind of made sure I filled this out pretty well here. Kind of said, all right, well, let me get this trend line in through here. That's a good 4 hour trend line. These are the two important ones that I put in yesterday. I mean, once I saw that this was starting to form a little bit of a pattern like this, um, kind of had an expanding, broadening wedge kind of look to it. Typically, by the time you hit this point, you get a big pullback, and that was exactly what we got out of it. So, I mean, nailed that one. As far as that part goes. Now the question is, does this hold up right here? If you look over here to the right, you see that the number is about 40.38. Um, anything above 40 on any given chart is bullish control territory for the most part. I put this blue line in here because I find that if I was to take a look at the most bullish Bitcoin action, typically it's going to be anytime you find support at or above this zone. But the beauty is here, look, we could do something similar to what we did here. Come up, pop, pop, and start to build another move to the upside. Problem with that, and the only concern I see there is that we have lost a trend line that we've been following for a bit now. Let me flip this over here. So we essentially lost this line, the thick yellow line. I talked about that yesterday, kind of the one that I was hoping would hold up. Obviously, that's not the case at this point. So at this stage, again, I'm looking for one of a few things to happen, hoping for the best here, but. Hopefully we find some support. And sorry, I get a lot of notifications from TradingView, but hopefully we're going to find support one of a few different places today, get a little bit of a retrace, get some breathing room, and then reassess if we're staying short for now. Because at this point, again, I've already kind of mentioned the $38,000 range. How do we get there? Probably going to look something like this. Maybe we come down here, come back up, retest this. Maybe it doesn't come quite down that far. Maybe it stops here, comes up a retest, pushes right back down. Again, how we actually get from here to down somewhere in here, I don't know for sure. We could assume that it will operate within this channel, at least for now, until it doesn't. So at that point, you could feel pretty good about, maybe something in this range potentially holding up. But and then one additional point of caution: there is um, very little support or resistance in this space right here, 40,500 down to, 39.1, 38.5. So again, we lose that level, and all of a sudden it's another big move to the downside. So again, let's just hope that it makes a decision and we can capitalize accordingly. All right, gentlemen, another big day. Let's go get it. Appreciate you.